this June 10th New Jersey primary. Welcome aboard, everybody. Been a couple of months since we last did a stream on April 1st, and we're ready to go right on time, about 15 minutes away from poll closings. So we're doing the Garden State today. Probably not going to be a whole lot of surprises here. The main event is going to be for governor, both sides. It's an open seat. A lot of candidates in here. It's crowded. So that's the main thing we're going to be looking at here over the next 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on how long we're going to go for. But should be an interesting time here, and it's time for another stream. So we'll see who we've got in here, and we've got several already. It's good to see people waiting for this one. Got Bernie Sanders, Rando Swinger. Nice to see some familiar faces. Hello, Obvious Path. So is everybody excited for this one? The easy prediction here is Mikey Sherrill, Jack Chittarelli. It's pretty much what it looked like 6 months, a year ago even. And unless something crazy happens, that's who it's going to be winning these two primaries. There's also a little bit going on in the state assembly. Now, the state senate, no elections this year for the Senate. But if you're into down ballot action, there's going to be some here. Got last election in New Jersey in 21. We got their results here. If we want to go back and see what happened. Got the general. But this is it. We're looking at about 12 minutes. We'll see how long we go for. Should be able to get the results in. Let's see. Welcome aboard. Hello, and Philip and Baraka teamed up. Well, yeah, here's the poly market. And this is for the general. Let's get to the Democratic primary. Look at this. Sherrill, north of 90%. So that is very overwhelming. It's not 100%, but it's just under that. On the other side, well, actually, they don't have a GOP market. They have second place here for the Dems. This one is wide open. Raz Baraka there with Stephen Fulop at about 30-35. Now, personally, I wish there was a runoff. Something, so it doesn't just end here with somebody getting 36% of the vote and they're the nominee. I've said that in the past. I don't find it satisfying. Maybe you're into ranked choice. Maybe you're just into a later runoff. But that's what I'd like to see. Because in a crowded field, you might be able to win with just maybe not even 30% if there's a pretty good split. Now, 6 major candidates here for the Dems, and looks like they've got a 5 on here for the Republicans. I'm not even familiar with all of them, but this is the major race this year, this in Virginia. And Virginia's primary technically next Tuesday, I believe, but they really already have their nominees for governor. That's been set. So not much action there. This is going to be the other big race coming up in November on an off-year election. Yeah, maybe there could be an upset. Who knows? Jack Chittarelli, this is his 3rd run at it. He ran in 17, he ran in 21, and he keeps moving up a little bit each time. In 17, he was short in the primary. Last time he was the nominee, and he did really well, all things considered. He kind of almost pulled off the big upset, taking down Phil Murphy. Not quite, but way closer than people expected, kind of like the last presidential election in this state. This was maybe the biggest surprise out of all of them. So Chitterelli's going yet again. He got the Trump endorsement. He's got some challengers. Um, we'll see how that goes, but he's likely to win that one. So yeah, let's see how full this is gonna get in here. And we're doing another stream. Try to do them on the primaries or significant events, and hasn't been many since November, and not a whole lot coming up. But New York City, they're gonna have their primary for mayor in a couple of weeks. So we'll see about that one. But good to see some people in here, and regulars, new people. It's all good. About 8 minutes here. Um, Chris Christie, yeah. He, I guess he could have ran. He didn't endorse anybody, but those Chris Christie days, those were interesting times. He pulls off that landslide re-election in 13. He did pull off, I would say, the upset in 2009, and then the huge landslide, 60% in 13. Then the scandal, the Fort Lee scandal, that was kind of the end for Chris Christie's popularity. He looked like he might have had higher aspirations for president. Obviously, he ran, and he fell from grace pretty hard. Now he's kind of despised by a lot of different people, but he's pretty much he he's a New Jersey politician. Let's just put it that way. He seems like he suits the state in a lot of ways. Yeah, the Virginia being next week and New Jersey being this week. I think I was saying that a while ago that it is totally disappointing that they can't do them on the same day. But the only upside of that is Virginia, the major race for governor already kind of set. I'm not even sure what's going on down ballot. I know there's going to be attorney general, lieutenant governor, but that's pretty much under the radar stuff. The New York race is going to be far more interesting. Let's see. We've got county Democratic Party endorsements. So much of the population in the Northeast here, outside of New York City, but it's a six-way race technically here for the Dems. Although Mikey Sherrill has I'm going to say a pretty sizable advantage. Now the polling has not been super fantastic. There's been so many internal polls here. If we go down here, last one here is from Emerson. Sherrill not even at 30%, so something could happen here, but I would think it's unlikely Sherrill loses. Maybe she only wins by 10 or something, but a lot of internal polls here. Raz Baraka, Sherrill. It goes on and on. So internal polls, usually you got to dismiss them, but sometimes they're right. Sometimes they show their candidate ahead and it pans out. Sometimes they show them behind, it pans out. But most of the time, it does pad their own candidate by 5, maybe 10 or more points. But Emerson theoretically should be neutral here. but only 386 sample size. So this is kind of surprising. I thought one or two of these candidates would have dropped out or fizzled out over the past few months once it started heating up, but not really. They've been in it. Look at this fundraising. They're all pretty big here except for Sean Spiller. Yeah, well, New York race, we could maybe do a stream that day. Um, yeah, Charlie Baker, Larry Hogan, they they got it done in those races as well. There was a lot of blue state Republicans in the governor's mansion last decade. That was a big thing. It happened the other way around a little bit too. John Bell Edwards in Louisiana, Andy Beshear is still in there in Kentucky. You got Laura Kelly in Kansas as well, if you want to throw her in there. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people want to know what kind of red shift there is going to be in this state. Of course, Dems are going to say there is no red shift. It was all hype. Don't worry about it. It's a blip. It's a speed bump. Pay no attention to what happened in the last election for president. And Republicans are saying, hey, this state is headed into purple territory. This could be the next um, Florida or Ohio, something in that direction. I think that would be pretty far off, but maybe it's headed into competitive territory. I don't think it's there yet. You got to have two elections, I'd say. But it is embarrassing for the Dems how close the state got, and for president and for governor last time. Phil Murphy only winning it by a few points. That came out of nowhere. I don't know why there was such scant polling 4 years ago. We'll take a look at that here while we're waiting. Yeah, look at that. 3.2 for Murphy. And if we look at this polling, not a whole ton of it, but we've got some here in October. Murphy is at about 50%. Chitterelli maybe topping out at 45, and that was from Trafalgar. Even Trafalgar underestimated Jack Chitterelli. So yeah, it looked like Murphy was going to get this by 5 to 10 points, maybe even more. I mean, who knows? But no, this was close. This thing was not called for a while. Chitterelli, I remember, had a lead, and then additional vote came in. Maybe it was the next day, and it finally put Murphy over the top. So the upset that wasn't 3%, it's close, but it's still a loss for Chitterelli. Now he's coming back again, 3 in a row. So either New Jersey residents are kind of tired of this guy, or maybe they're in the mood for some change. The state has elected Republican governors in the past, but with Trump in the White House, that might make it a little bit more difficult. It's going to be a fine line that Chitterelli's going to have to walk. He did get that endorsement from Trump, but doesn't want to go too cozy with him. So we're less than 1 minute away here as we 34 people, not too bad. Good to see everybody in here. And if you're brand new, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Feel free to join the channel. There's always the super chat option. We're trying to still expand the channel, even though the last few months have been unexpectedly disappointing. So I'll try to read some comments, but all's closed. So here we go. We'll see if Cheryl builds up a huge, insurmountable lead early on, or if there's some kind of a surprise in the works. But again, with no runoffs, this is going to be it. Cheryl might win with 33%. But it doesn't look like anybody's going to get to 50 unless somehow everybody decides to move towards Cheryl here at the end. Now, Chitterelli, I think he could hit 50. I think he might even hit 60. Let's see what we've got here for any polls. Yeah, he's in the 40 to 50% range with the undecideds. Chitterelli should be able to hit 50, could get 60. But you never know. Primaries are going to have low turnout. And that's when surprises could happen because it's hard to poll if you're only going to get 6% turnout. Okay. Okay. Congresswoman Poe, yeah, the ninth. Nellie Poe, yeah, she got close to, I guess, losing, relatively speaking. It looked like she had a safe seat, and it did get close. I think it actually, her district actually supported Trump, I believe, narrowly. So that's crazy stuff. The map, the congressional map for Republicans, it's not a good map. It's one of the, I think, under the radar unfair maps, but hey, it is what it is. After the next redraw, maybe the Republicans gain another seat here. They had a 6-6 split not that long ago, but then it became Republicans getting wiped out. But now they're back up to a few seats. And backwards Colorado. Um, Jersey will be plus 10. Yeah, it's hard to believe really anybody's predictions anymore on anything. I mean, unless somebody last time was say, hey, New Jersey is going to be 6 or 7 for Harris, then hey, it's all really anything. It's anybody's best guess. But yeah, I didn't even have New Jersey getting under 10. I thought it would narrow up a few points, but not nearly, not under 10. So there's always some surprises in store. Yeah, I mean, it'd be tough if Chitterelli did not get the Trump endorsement because, I mean, South Jersey, a lot of that has moved a little bit toward Trump. And of course, we were just talking about the Nellie Poe district, Hispanic support there. So I think a lot of people are kind of holding their breath on what's actually going to happen. Here we go with the future of New Jersey. And we got Stephen Sweeney that's coming in again from here, South Jersey. That's going to be probably where Sweeney would do the best. So what have we got here? Chitterelli, same county. Gloucester 75. That looks pretty convincing for Chitterelli. Sweeney, former Senate president who got ousted in an embarrassing fashion a few cycles ago. That was um, that was a big deal at the time. 2% in. Let's see. We've got. I'm not going to spend too much time here on the General Assembly. Again, no state Senate this year. But we've got a little bit here down ballot. Some of you might be into that. And all right, we've got 6 in. Now we've got some here coming in from More Cheryl-friendly territory. Sweeney just sank all the way down to third place. And Chitterelli doing on par in the same county. %6 in. Hey, maybe all this vote comes in less than an hour, and we're pretty much done here. Raz Baraka, Newark mayor, had that big incident a couple of weeks ago, getting arrested. Uh, all right, Essex County is coming in here, and Cheryl, 43%. This should be more near her congressional district. Let's see. Who's favoring the New York City mayor Dem primary? Well, I mean, I've seen the polling of it tightening up there, but it'd be hard to bet against Cuomo. Now, there's a little bit of time. I've been saying that as I've been covering those polls for the past few months. We saw Bloomberg endorsing Cuomo, if that means anything. But I would guess Cuomo, but it's certainly closer than it was a month or two ago. If something changes, I'd be surprised if Cuomo ended up losing. Now he's got a ton of baggage, but the establishment candidate Cuomo, former governor too, like three-term governor. I wouldn't want to underestimate him, especially late breakers. I think I've ranked choice. It's going to be could be a mess, but it's not as much of a slam dunk as it was before. Oh yeah, Golden Cat politics. I haven't seen you in a little while, but it looks like you're still around. Nice to see that. Sweeney goes up to third, full up in second place. Okay. Uh, Thoughts on the anti-ICE protests? Well, put out a poll on that today on the channel. It kind of lines up with the YouGov poll I saw. I guess more people think it's probably gotten a little bit too out of hand at the points where it has, and looks like it's an ongoing situation. I'd like to see it all get taken care of. Don't want to see any more. I don't want to see any violence. I don't think anybody would want to see that. But I'm not following it too closely. I'm just looking at the surface level stuff, trying to take a look at some polls. But do have that community poll out on that topic. This is a good six-way race. Even Gottheimer is on the bottom right now, but his congressional district in the Northwest, that should give him a bit of a boost, I guess. Yeah, Gottheimer, he seemed to be another establishment guy who, I guess, he was going to have higher ambitions here for governor. It looks like it's not going to pan out. I'd be surprised if he finished in last place. That would be surprising in a six-way race. Yeah, New Jersey, most densely populated state. That is true, unless something's changed. That's true. Gottheimer flopping. Yep. 18% in for the Dems, 6 for the GOP. Okay. So this is the main event. This is where it's at. Two governor's races this year. It's right here, and it's Virginia. Technically, next week is the Virginia primary, but those nominees for governor already well established. But it's an off year election. Those are the big ones. And then in 2 weeks, it's the primary for New York City mayor. It's starting to really heat up now as more people pay attention. More polling is going to come out. But today it's New Jersey. And this is kind of a big race, but at the same time, whoever's the nominee, once they're chosen, probably going to forget about most of these other candidates. It's usually how it goes. And we've got the poly market here. For the primaries, anything changing here? Not really. Cheryl is pretty much at 100%. Second place, well, that's changed. Well, that's really up in the air, actually. But looks like the markets are saying Cheryl, which confirms what pretty much everybody was thinking. But is she only going to win with 33%? That would be really disappointing. No runoffs, no rank choice, nothing. You could be the nominee with less than 20%. Let's see. Yeah, it's a tie in areas depending on the areas people do good in. All right, Sweeney back in third, Fulop in second, Cheryl ahead. I'd like to see Gottheimer get in it. I'd like to see everybody finish with 10 or more percent. That would be something. Usually, if you got four, five, six people, you're going to have somebody with nothing. 1%, 2%, but six candidates potentially getting 10%. That's notable. Total vote counts, yeah, that's something to look at. 19 in for the Dems, 6 for the Republicans. We'll have to wait till that kind of evens up. But again, primary turnout, it's haphazard. It's going to be low. I think it has little bearing on the general election. I say that pretty much every state in pretty much every primary. I don't put a lot of weight on primary numbers for the general. I mean, it's fun to take a look at, but I think there's a whole lot to get out of it. So we're sitting on 19, plenty more to come in. Uh, Bruce Springsteen, who is he going to endorse? Uh, yeah, does his, I don't know how much weight the Springsteen endorsement has, but maybe it does have something. Special elections, yeah, I think there's a few uh, in the state legislature in some state. I don't know, maybe it's South Carolina, maybe I'm thinking of something else, but this is the event, really. It's not even on here in New York Times, so okay, look at this. It's a big battle here for second place. So this poll here, the market on Poly Market for second place, this is going to be where all the action is. This is this is anybody's guess. 22% in here. Republicans are behind 7. Chitterelli is dipping under 70 now, but he's pretty much got this in the bag. And Cheryl probably in the bag as well, but it's obviously going to be by a less convincing percentage than Chitterelli. 3 consecutive runs for Jack here. Steve Fulop in second place now. Let's see. Got some Bergen in. We've got 13 in Bergen. The most populous county, Gottheimer, 41%. I think as far as the endorsements go, yeah, Bergen, they're behind Gottheimer. He only got 2 counties, but hey, Bergen, that's not nothing. Um, 2 Florida specials for today. If it's today, then no, I have not taken a look at any of these specials. Um, or unless you mean something else, but I'll take a look at that at some point. Who's the most pro-worker, populist, progressive among the New Jersey governor Dem primary? Well, that's going to be up for debate, but it's going to be one of the 3 of Fulop, Baraka, and Spiller. But you'd have to completely lay out all their views, see where they stand. But Sweeney is from South Jersey. He's going to have some of that union support down there. So who knows? But it is nice to see a battle here. A lot of times the parties kind of just coalesce around one candidate. It's good to see a nice battle here. Unfortunately, there's no runoff. This is it. Um, yeah, there's kind of a divided vote here. That's the thing. Yeah, there is the more progressive side, the more establishment side. Looks like that side's going to win. Usually that happens. The establishment side wins on both sides most of the time. Yeah, this is a good state to watch, though. This was the most, I would say, probably the most fascinating state in the last presidential election. New York moved, I think, technically slightly more than New Jersey, just barely swinging to the right. It's called here for Jack. Not a surprise at all. 67% here, only 13% in, and it's over. How much I expect Spanberger to win by against Sears in Virginia? Well, it's it'd be hard to make a prediction now and have that stick, but I was thinking about it, probably mid-single digits. That's what I would guess if I had to pick. However, 4 years ago, I would have said Terry McAuliffe was going to beat Glenn Youngkin. I actually would have said that right before the election. I thought that was probably going to go McAuliffe by like 1%. Now, 4 or 5 months before the election, it looked like McAuliffe was going to win by 6, 8 plus points. So it's really tough to make a prediction months out when a lot of times things change. A lot of times people don't pay attention until the final month. And appreciate the super chat. We got one in. Bruno the Destroyer getting us started. I appreciate that you love the content. Every little bit always adds a little bit something extra for the motivation because the channel's been under some rough times here in the past couple of months. Somehow the pace has really slowed down, but the extra support, fantastic stuff. So thanks a lot. I'm glad you enjoy the channel. There's a ton out there. Every day, there's different content for everybody. So, and now everybody is over 10%. We've got double digits. Now Sweeney on the bottom. So we got more here from, for Gottheimer was on the bottom. It's like 2 minutes ago. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, the special elections. I mean, if they're getting bluer, yeah, well, that's what I would expect. That's usually what happens. The out party tends to make some gains, although I don't know how far to take it because, turnout in specials is low. And the specials, the last couple of years, looked like they were favoring the Dems for the most part. But then the general election came around, and that's where Trump did well. So it's like a lot of things, it's all about how you want to look at it. Um, let's see. There we go. Chance Pete Buttigieg being the Dem nominee. It's he's in the conversation. He's young, and people like him. I think he's pretty establishment, and he's going to be in the mix if he wants it. Would he actually win it? I don't think so. But then again, who would I say would be highly favored? It's so wide open. But I don't think Buttigieg would be able to pull it out. I don't know. He just it doesn't strike me as a guy who would pull it out. Although there are going to be some people that think he's the best ever. So, let's see. Republicans really hate Sears. I haven't even followed how they're running their campaigns. Really, I think it's going to be a little far out, but we'll see what happens. Sears lose by 15. That'd be a lot. I mean, it could happen. Look at Mark Robinson in North Carolina. He got wiped out. And again, I mean, you got to ask yourself, what did you think the margin was going to be for Virginia 4 years ago between McAuliffe and Youngkin? It almost wasn't even Youngkin, but they changed the primary to the convention style, and Youngkin got it. How did you think it was going to go in May, June, July? Because I thought McAuliffe was going to get it. Certainly the polling looked like McAuliffe was going to get it. People didn't even know who Youngkin was. That's why it's kind of irrelevant. It's not totally irrelevant, but it's kind of irrelevant what the polls are going to show. I like to look at them. I like to present them. But I tell people all the time, June, July, that's not October. October is when people are really going to pay attention. So Youngkin pulled it off. If I had the channel back then, I think my prediction was probably a tilt for McAuliffe. I mean, it was like a 1% type of thing. So I wasn't going to be surprised if he lost because that polling did narrow up there in Virginia. It narrowed up a lot the final few weeks. And then Youngkin was even leading some of them. So I don't know if Sears is going to get totally wiped out. Okay, let's see. Try to pick back up here. Tennessee District 7, Mark Green resigning. I'd have to look closer into the district, but yeah, I heard Green is. I don't even know why he's actually resigning after the vote on the upcoming uh, for the budget. But I'd have to look closer at it. But I think the assumption is that it's just it's red enough to not be much of a concern. I think the more the focus would be on the Republican primary side. I don't know who's going to even jump into that. But it is surprising to see somebody just hang it up out of nowhere. Uh, okay. I know people have all kinds of assumptions about different views I have. I'm sure some people are going to be right on some, but a lot of people are going to be off on a lot because there's a lot of. It's kind of like a buffet. Some things line up, but a lot of things are just they're they're not what you'd expect. But I do have a video out, of course. I usually reference the "Why Both Parties Suck" video. It's just audio. It's from 2 or 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, but gives you a little bit of an outline and a couple of broad concepts. Now, the chances of Chitterelli actually winning in New Jersey. Well, let's see. What does the poly market say? 19%, but that's including the primaries. Yeah, I don't know. I would say that he's definitely not favored to win, but of course, everybody, pretty much everybody, would have guessed that Phil Murphy was going to win by more than 3.2 last time. I don't know where I had Phil. Last time it seemed like I was just going to go by the polling and think Phil Murphy was going to win with like an 8 or 9 point margin. That's probably where I was at. But as of right now, I would think Chitterelli would lose by, I don't know, 4 or 5 points, maybe six. I don't know. It's just it's too tough. Let's see. Yeah, Ras Baraka, Fulop. I don't. They just didn't have enough in a crowded field. They just did not have enough. Doesn't look like they have enough. Although Fulop is in second with 28% in. Uh, Cheryl seems like the ideal candidate for the Dems. Probably suburban appeal, kind of like Spanberger, military. Has that mom kind of a vibe that I think Democrats really just they find that alluring. But it depends. Yeah, do you want to win a race or do you want to stick to somebody who's got more of your values? That's kind of the dilemma. We see it on all different sides. Republicans sometimes nominate a candidate that is maybe more in line with the base, but in the general, they can't get it done. So, certainly a dilemma there. Um, okay, and I'm actually just hearing here, New Jersey Rep. La, LaMonica McIver indicted on federal assault charges. That's, I guess that's breaking news, unless it happened a few hours ago and I'm just hearing about it. So that's interesting. That's definitely relevant because this is New Jersey. Indicted on federal charges over clash with law enforcement at ICE facility. So that is interesting. Breaking news, I guess, fairly recent. Anyway, Um, yeah, there is no runoff. This is whoever wins, whoever's in the lead here gets it. And it looks like Cheryl right now at a less than impressive 34%. There, there should be a runoff, though. I've said that a bunch of times. I'll keep saying it. Yeah, which of the three progressive candidates are considered is considered the most progressive? Is it Fulop? Is it Baraka? Is it Spiller? That's going to be for the comments. Is Sears going to cause Miaris to lose re-election? Now that's an interesting race, the Attorney General race. I don't. I would think that it'd be an uphill climb given the old standard thing where the party in the White House causes the Virginia governor to go in the other direction, and that's going to trickle down into the AG race. Now Miaris is running as an incumbent, so he could, I don't know, he could pull some out. We'll see. Excuse me. We'll see what happens with the Dems. That's going to be next week, but the plan for the next stream would be in 2 weeks for New York City mayor. Given that next week the governor's race is pretty much already decided for Virginia. Unfortunately, they're not doing it today. That would have been nice to do two states on the same day. Uh, Northern New England be more competitive with a non-Trump Republican. You're talking about New Hampshire, Maine. Well, they had Paul LePage in Maine, who won with the plurality. The Trump before Trump, who's running now in Maine second. That's going to be interesting against Jared Golden. I think it really depends. A lot of it depends on the national environment. Depends on the individual candidate. It depends on the positions, their personality. There's so much that goes into it. Let's see. DNC leaders fiesta going on. Is it that's with the race with David Hogg and all that drama? Yeah, I'll let that work itself out. Kind of like with Trump and Musk. I'm not big on caring about stuff like that. Arizona politics. Yeah, I covered that race last week. Their poll there. That is some interesting politics there. Election polling official. Hey, nice to see you. Skipped over that. And again, everybody in double digits here for the Dems. Gittarelli has it in the bag, only 19% in. Uh, let's see. Florida will Gwen Graham make the race more competitive. I mean, I guess she's got the name ID, but I've kind of been saying now the last, I guess since the last election, that I'm kind of tired of underestimating the Republicans in Florida. They just seem to just keep doing it. These these big margins that I can't even that I didn't predict beforehand. Usually like 3, 4, 5 points redder than I was thinking. So could Gwen Graham make it a little bit more competitive? I guess. But there's a weak bench there for the Dems. Every time there's like a narrative that hey, maybe the Dems are gonna make it competitive, like last time in the Senate. against Rick Scott. Debbie McCarcel Powell looked like she maybe was going to make a move, and I didn't think Scott was a strong candidate, but he really, I guess the state has just gotten so red that it's really tough for the Dems. It's tough for them to get it even competitive anymore, let alone flip anything. Mamdani, okay. Maine, New Hampshire, yeah, okay. Paul LePage, yep. Going back through some of the old names here. Golden wins Maine second. He does better in midterm elections. Hey, it's all possible. LePage is an interesting candidate. I mean, he is kind of old now. He's mid 70s. I think he might even be late 70s by the time the actual election rolls around. And he's a former governor, but he did lose to Mills. He came back, tried to run, and he got wiped out. I think he still won the second congressional district for governor. But in Golden, I thought he was going to make a move for statewide office, but I guess not. But maybe the state is just, especially that district, is going to get even a little bit redder. Maybe Golden goes down. He barely won last time. That was surprising. I thought Golden was going to win by more than that. But Golden, he barely won that race against Austin Terrio. Um, yeah, Miaris did take down the incumbent in 21. That's true. I can't even recall his name right off the top of my head. Mark something. That's what I'm thinking. But sure somebody will pull that out in a second. Uh, Dems best candidate for governor. Yeah, David Jolly. Yeah, I've heard that's kind of Charlie Chris 2.0. I think they should go Charlie Crist again. I'd like to see Chris do it one more time. I think maybe he could get it done this time. Let's see. Joe Walsh going up against Graham in South Carolina. Oh, has that actually happened? That I have not heard about. Joe Walsh, he's running in South Carolina. Okay, that I will. I'd have to look into that one. He must have moved there at some point, so I don't know how much of a connection he has to that state if that's what's going on. So we're at 31% in here. Mikey Sherrill has a clear advantage, but it's not at all a majority. 34.6% plurality. Steve Fulop is at 16.8. Sweeney back on the bottom. Remember at the very beginning when Sweeney was on top? That was short lived. Now Sweeney on the bottom, but he's still clinging to double digits at 10%. Again, I appreciate everybody that's in here. Oh, first of all, we've got a call here. It's called for Cheryl. Not a surprise. 31% in. That's it. As I was saying, nice to see everybody in here for this primary. And less than an hour and less than 45 minutes after the polls have opened, we've got a call here, and Mikey Sherrill is going to be the nominee to get to face Jack Chitterelli, which is what we thought. Looks like she's going to be the nominee without even 40%. I wonder if there were calls for some of these candidates to drop out. I think I'd rather just see a runoff. I'd like to see Cheryl go up against whoever's going to be in second. Fulop, Chitterelli ran away with it. Again, he's in the high 60s. Major signs New Jersey became a large swing in 24. If you want to look into the data, it's all about what you want to look at, what you want to emphasize, what you want to downplay and ignore. I say it all the time. That's why I think most predictions are plausible. Most of them. Sweeney popular in the South. Yep. Gloucester County first to come in. Yeah, I agree. Uh, okay. Would an independent candidate for Florida governor, U.S. Senate race perform better than a Florida Democrat? If it was a one-on-one, independent versus Republican, well, yeah, I would say probably, just like in any state, the minority party being replaced with an independent candidate seemingly should peel away some from that majority party. But I mean, we saw the race there with Charlie Crist and Marco Rubio for the Senate in 2010. Crist is an independent in a three-way race. Of course, Rubio won. Now, that was a while ago, relatively speaking. That was 15 years. And Rosbrock, 40% in Union County. Cheryl, 41 here, Essex. Well, this stream, who knows? This is going to be an early night then. We're not even an hour into the stream. What if the remaining votes are very skewed? Well, then they would have to retract it and they would look foolish, but theoretically they look deeper into the numbers and they know where the outstanding vote is. So they should have fairly high confidence on this call, but you never know. Maybe something crazy happens. Done with the Democrats. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, it would have been neat to see what would have happened in a two-way race. Yeah, I don't think we've seen any general election polling for this, and I don't think there really should be. But now we'll probably start to see some early stuff. And, I would guess if it's a horse race between Cheryl and Chitterelli, you're going to see Cheryl having some kind of a lead. But Chitterelli, at least his name ID is going to be high. Cheryl's is probably going to be fairly high as well. And it's going to be a big battle here. I don't know if we're going to see Chitterelli leading in any of these polls outside of maybe an internal, but I would think they're going to be at least competitive. So then the hope for Chitterelli going into election day is that it's going to be within the margin of error and there's another surge that was not captured by the polling and he pulls it out. Now that's what I'm coming up with right now, but maybe it's not what happens. Maybe Cheryl has a consistent lead of 10 points, or maybe Chitterelli is actually leading in a couple of polls. Maybe there's a good 20-30% undecided. And 43 people in here. That's good stuff, except that this is kind of already over with. So we'll hang around here for a little while longer and do kind of a community hangout as we get some more results. And again, there's down ballot action as well. The state assembly, the state senate is not having elections this year. That's going to be in 2 more years. Yeah, whoever has the most here, that's it. It's over. No runoffs, no ranked choice, nothing. Uh, even if they dropped out a few days before, that's probably too close to have a huge impact. I wonder if people are talking about runoffs if they want to see that happen, given this crowded race. Uh, yeah, this is not that exciting. Chance of JD Vance winning New Jersey in 28. I mean, that's why I don't make a lot of prediction videos years out because, I mean, I'm just pretty much making it up, just like everybody else. But Vance winning it is low. That's what I would say. If he won New Jersey, then I think that would be a pretty big landslide for Vance. Then we'd be looking at a 350 plus vote win for him. I mean, it could go back toward the Dems. They could win it by 8 or 9, and that's still a lot less than it was in some recent elections. I don't know. I think everybody wants to know what's going to happen with the movement. The rightward Hispanic movement. It's big question mark. Were they just unenthused with Harris? Are they not going to be enamored with Trump at all? They're going to just vote Dem because the party in power is going to be unpopular. And then maybe the next time the party in power stays unpopular and they go back. It's really, there's a lot of different possibilities. Okay. Um, if Jack wins and Booker does bad at 26, New Jersey will definitely be a battleground. Yeah, that well, define bad. I think bad for Booker. I mean, definitely single digits. Now, how far into single digits would be bad? That's going to be up to you. But I would have a tough time seeing Booker get it under 10. But yeah, there's both sides have these fantasy narratives. Republicans are thinking, well, this New Jersey is the next swing state. I mentioned this earlier. Dems were saying a long time, Texas, that's the next swing state. Maybe Kansas, maybe Florida again. But, everybody just has these high hopes, and a lot of times they don't pan out. It's fun to just see what happens. Well, Vance, it's going to be interesting to see what anybody would do after Trump. Post Trump, yeah, it's going to be nuts. Except he's going to be way younger than almost any other candidate, so that could have an impact. And then the other thing going for Vance, also I don't think he's really that uncharismatic. I think if you're into the Trump brand, that would be appealing for the most part. But I don't think people paid close enough attention to the VP. But the other thing Vance has going is some of the people that thought Trump was had too much baggage with his indictments, um, and his rhetoric. They might look at Vance and go, "Okay, maybe I can handle this." Vance has not been convicted of anything. Vance is not doing some of the petty name calling. There could be some appeal there. um. Okay. Yeah, Trump and the economy, that's going to be something. I think might take a whole year to see where people really are at. Of course, the inflation was rampant for a while now. So are people going to get just used to it? Are they going to be okay if it levels off? Are they only going to accept prices declining? Because that would be pretty tough to see. It's tough. Trump had the economy pretty well in terms of how it was perceived on his first term, but this time it's different, and he could pay a pretty big price if people think the economy is tanking. But it, it's high risk, high reward. People wanted to see something happen. If things change, then he could not take as bad of a hit as people might think. Some Republicans even say New York will be a swing state. Yeah, this is standard stuff from both sides. Texas is going blue, New York is going red. I don't buy any of it. People have their fantasies, their hopes. You would say Cheryl would be around 5 points. Sounds reasonable. James Talarico running for Texas Senate. Did he officially announce, or is it that he's gearing up, having exploratory committees and so on? Uh, it depends. If it's Paxton for the Republicans, then I'd still think Paxton is going to be favored. Now, I would expect Paxton to not look great in the polling, but by the election and after the election, I would still expect Paxton to win. But yeah, I know. Again, people have these candidates they think could somehow rewrite the map. If this candidate gets in, I think they could do it. I'm a guy who likes to just wait it out. Okay, expressed interest. Yeah. Elon Musk's new party idea. You know, how much is really behind that? I mean, we saw the Andrew Yang, we saw no labels, we saw all this stuff happening, and really, it doesn't pan out. It takes a lot to get anything off the ground. Both parties tend to panic if they think they're going to lose voters to a third party. And in the abstract, voters do want a third party. A lot of them do. If you just ask, do we need a new third party? Oh, sure, a ton of people are going to say, yeah. But then when it comes down to it, and after all the scare tactics come in, and all the smears and all the fears, then third parties usually fizzle. Depends what they stand for as well. But third parties they're appealing and they're scary at the same time for a lot of voters. So I think they could even have a great platform, but the fear of throwing your vote away to vote for a new party that has no track record, that can be kind of intimidating. Let's see. Incremental changes to the videos. Well, hey, fill me in. What changes are there? Booker probably win 13 points. Yeah, hey, 13. That's convincing. Nebraska's first congressional district. Uh, the first, the one outside of the second, which is red, but not overwhelmingly red. That one, that's the Mike Flood district. I mean, it looks like it could be getting a little bit bluer, I suppose. There'll be another map redraw again after the next redistricting. I'm sure they'll strengthen that one up if it looks like it could be getting into single digit territory. Paxton ain't losing. Yeah, R plus 7 8. Hey, Ted Cruz, I thought he was unlikable. And he probably is, but in terms of voting, yeah, I thought he was a little bit weaker. And if he almost went down in 18 in that blue wave and then it comes back 6 years later and wins by a pretty good margin, then I don't know if there's much hope for the Dems in Texas. 20 years ago, it was supposed to be that state was going to go blue by now. That's what it was supposed to be, but that did not pan out. But Paxton, hey, he's not a super strong candidate. The impeachment, and I mean, he's still in office. We'll see what happens there with him and Cornyn. Uh, because of tariffs, three lifelong Republicans hate Trump now because of the tariffs. They'll consider it them. Hey, okay, that could happen. I mean, usually I see that a lot where some issue is motivating for a few people who are going to change their history of voting because of one thing happening now. Everything that happened before this, no, that didn't matter. But this brand new thing, that's going to do it for them. It's usually not a lot of people, but it usually happens on all sides on some issue. And then after that, it could happen again. The next party comes in. Then they don't like something about that. It seems like a lot of people are just voting against um, people now. Yeah, incumbency, maybe not the advantage that it used to be. Okay, voted green in 24. Gotcha. Paxton would win by a small margin, 4 points. Could be. Maybe it's going to be Wesley Hunt. That could be another possibility. We'll see if he gets going in Texas as well. And by the way, we've still got results coming in here in New Jersey. Let's not forget about that. Kind of covering a bunch of other states because the main event is over. Mikey Sherrill and Jack Chittarelli. But we're still covering other topics. And again, nice to see everybody in here. Hopefully, you've liked and shared, subscribed, donated, joined, became a member, done all that stuff a long time ago. If you enjoy the channel, maybe you don't enjoy the channel, you just hate watching it. Paxton, more unlikable than Cruz. Okay. What did you think Cruz was going to do in 24? What did you think his margin was going to be? That's the question. I think we've all been wrong and off on a lot of races over the past 2, 3 elections, I'm sure. A lot of Republicans sick of Trump, maybe, but I think a lot are also thinking this is the shakeup they wanted. Bernie Sanders, you're taking off. Okay. Nice to see you. Yeah, well, I'm planning for the New York mayor primary in 2 weeks. Can't guarantee it, but that's the goal. But yeah, we'll hopefully we'll see you then if that happens. Uh, I mean, Colin Allred was supposed to be the guy to take down Cruz. Rick Scott was supposed to be vulnerable in Florida. I thought he kind of was a little bit, and I kind of feel a little silly thinking he was. Okay, Swinger, thanks a lot for showing up. See you next time. Have a good night. Yeah, I mean anything could happen here. It just politics. It's a pendulum. It swings back and forth. Sometimes quicker, sometimes slower, sometimes more dramatically than others. But things happen. If I predicted every race going back the last 5, 6 years, I'd have a bunch that I got wrong. I've already been doing it since the midterms. I got a few regrets on my predictions, but a few I legitimately just underestimated. But hey, that's what it's all about. It's going to be tough to get these spot on. Should do a weekly stream. Well, that's been suggested and discussed before. I think the main thing there is if there's demand. Because sometimes I fire up a stream and there's nobody in there. Even the regular videos, the last couple of months, they've been down. The views, the subs. It's been very down and disappointing for unknown reasons. So if there was demand there, yeah, if we get 50, 100, 200 people in there that want to see a stream and sit around, that would be something that could happen. But I think the channel still hasn't gotten enough there. I wanted to be over 10,000 and get, 2, 3,000 on every video. But some of these videos don't bring in anything. If you're looking for the coin flips or the spinners, the spinner battles, those don't necessarily bring in a whole lot of views. But it would be nice to do a weekly stream. If there's enough people, enough demand, that could be something. I'm not against it. I just want there to be enough people there. Well, that's no. See, the thing is, I've got stats to compare to last year. I've got them to compare to the year before, and it's not great. It is especially not great right before the last election. 2 months before that, it dropped off considerably. That's when it should have picked up a little bit. So I've got stats, and they're not great. Yeah, the interaction is better on a smaller stream. Hopefully, it gets to be so big that I have to focus just on the super chats and the members. It's nice to read a lot of these, but um, still got more than half the vote outstanding here. I'm gonna take a quick 1 minute break for right now. Be right back. All right, here we go. Let's see. Problems growing the subs. Yeah, that's true. Ranked choice voting. I'm more of a runoff guy technically, but I can see or the ranked choice with the partisan primaries. That's my own personal thing. But either way, I think most people don't want to see this. Somebody winning with less than 40%. Okay, yeah, I mean, 24, that was, yeah, people are burnt out on politics. I'm burnt out, even. There's a lot of burnout out there. It's real. LTE not growing. Oh, are they totally stagnant, or are they just going up like 1,000 a month? But still, I mean, I'm putting out content every day for more than 3 years. Um, Got to get more channel members as well. That's the other thing. We'll have to. Maybe I should finally finish setting up the Patreon. See if people want to join that way for maybe $1 or something. See how many people want to do that. Provide some other avenues for support. Uh, if Dems were liked, we would have Kansas at a bare minimum of 10 red. Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 2020, right? I mean, it seems to make sense now, but who knows? It's fun to go back and see what everybody's predictions were about 24. Some people were saying, "Oh, this is Harris has got this. There's no question," and some people were saying that Trump's going to completely steamroll everything. And I was more toward the yeah, maybe could go either way. How likely? Georgia will have a runoff in 26. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure what's going on with third party candidates there. So I I don't know. Probably some libertarian will pull in, 1%, maybe two, but I'm not sure. I'd have to see what's going on there. It's probably too early. But there's some chance. It's not likely there's a runoff, but hey, we've seen them before. Yeah, taking a break. I mean, I try to fit in my own breaks behind the scenes, but I do put up a video. I've gotten one up every day. Let's see. Peltola runs in the Senate, she wins. Every trend has been reading and tariffs. Okay. So that's it. Peltola, you think she got it? She's got it in the bag against Sullivan. I mean, even if she got in, I would factor that into the race, but I would still say Sullivan would have an advantage, but she'd make it closer. But at the same time, she just took a loss statewide in the at-large district. She lost. I would have. I would think she'd probably have a better shot for governor because that's kind of where, yeah, again, the minority party usually can make some kind of gains. And Alaska is a kind of a quirky state politically. That is a bold call, though. Uh, you think Democrats are crumbling, and a new party might get created? Well, I think they're crumbling only insofar as they took a loss after the last election, and we're what, maybe 6 months after that, and in the new administration, certainly less than 6 months. This is the time where they regroup and try to pick up the pieces, and eventually, most likely, they coalesce around being against Trump, and there's going to be some way to capitalize on that. Again, if it's tariffs, if it's the economy, then Dems are going to go, yeah, maybe we lost the last one, but there's a way to make Trump the enemy now. And that's how they can try to regroup. So there's some crumbling, but usually I expect it to wear off. And a new party, I really don't, I'd have to see a new party until I actually believe it. All these ones, these fly by night ones, the no labels and forward party. It just, I said that a little while ago. People like it in the abstract. Third party, yeah, let's do it. But actually doing it, that's tough without any kind of a track record. People don't want to think that they're losing their vote. And then plus the two big parties, um, they're not going to want to see a new party unless it's clearly, clearly going to split and siphon off votes from the other side. If it's going to kind of go from both sides, it's unclear what's going to happen. Then you're going to see these parties. It's going to be corporate warfare pretty much to try to prevent that new third party from coming in. I mean, we kind of saw it sort of with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. At first, he was running as a Democrat, and the Democrats didn't want anything to do with him. They said, "What are you talking about? We got Biden in here. We can't have this other guy challenging him." And then he went off and did his own thing. Same with Dean Phillips. But then Kennedy became an independent. Dems were going after him. Then it looked like maybe he was drifting toward the Republicans. And maybe he was going to take some vote away from them. And then it kind of became they were against him. It just goes on and on and on. Some of this vote came in real quick, and now here we are all this time later, and we just hit 51% now. I don't think much is going to change here. I would expect Gottheimer to get some more here in the Northwest. But let's see. So we're not going to go all night here, but we'll do a little bit more if there's if people are here. Good to see people in here. Whoever wins the next election for the Dems, they take the state and maybe Alaska. I do my political shift videos, and yeah, Alaska. It used to be. It's kind of gone. It was redder. Some of these elections, it was not as red, but it's still clearly red enough on a federal level where it's not really. It's kind of. I don't even know if it's on the back burner. I would think governor. Yeah, that would be an opportunity. Something could happen, but we'll see what happens. Let's see. That Look, I appreciate the super chat, but that's can't really comment on that one. But well done trying to fit it in. Uh, but I do appreciate the little bit of support there. Uh, Peltola seems to be leaning toward running for governor. Okay, well, that's kind of what I was saying. She has potential, but again, she lost statewide. So, but governor, it's kind of a clean slate. It's going to be an open seat. Uh, I mean, yeah, there's always a dark horse scenario, right? You could talk about that in Alaska. You could talk about it in, oh, there's a bunch of other states. There's Dan Osborne, right? In Nebraska. There's there's scenarios, right, where things could happen. Maybe something happens in California. Maybe Republicans break through somehow, right? And it's time for a change on the West Coast. Uh, I, it's fun to talk about these scenarios. I just I don't put a lot of weight on him. Chitterelli, best candidate GOP had. I doubt Cheryl is the best. I agree. Probably Chitterelli is, even though he's been through it 3 times, he is kind of, you know, damaged goods in a sense. But Cheryl, probably a pretty good candidate, I guess. Again, I said suburban appeal, military, got that establishment, more moderate type of persona. Let's see what's going on here in the market. Second place, Fulop surged, and now he's crashing down. What about for the general election? Anything changing here? Okay, Cheryl is at 80, Chitterelli is at 18. So about a 1 in 5 chance for Chitterelli. That's low, but it's not nothing considering we're still in June. Let's see. Your political videos are very interesting and unique, and I love that. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. Always nice to get a positive comment. Um, so many times, a lot of people comment on just one thing they disagree with or one mistake in a video. They focus on this 1% of it, and that's all they have to say. They maybe enjoyed all of it except for one thing, but they only want to talk about that one thing. Once in a while there's a mistake, there's a typo, an error in a video. It's going to happen. Some of these have a lot of data, and that's just how it goes sometimes. Especially the last couple of months, with the channel has been really struggling, so not a lot of motivation. But yeah, if you enjoy the channel, spread the word. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, however far you want to take it. Like, share, subscribe. Let's see. Kelly Ayotte. She won in 10 in a landslide. She did win in a landslide. Paul Hodes. Anybody remember Paul Hodes? Neither do I. Yeah, then she lost in 16. Huge swing, barely, a nail biter. And then 24 wins for governor. Yeah, look, there's all kinds of crazy paths. And it's hard to separate out what people want to see happen from what is more likely to happen. That's a big challenge when it comes to politics or talking about politics. Um, Gottheimer. Well, I don't have a lot to say about Gottheimer. He's a pretty establishment dude. I know he was big on trying to get rid of that salt cap. That was his big thing, I remember. But can't say I have an in-depth view or in-depth knowledge of Gottheimer. Could he win Bergen County? Well, I suppose if he's already at 41 with half of the vote in. Will Kansas and Utah actually be competitive in 10, 15 years or slim down like Alaska? Yeah, it's a great question that I can go back to what I was saying earlier with, and that is it's a possibility either way. Now, I know that's an unsatisfying answer just to hear that it's possible on almost all of this stuff. But, what can you say? I mean, it's be foolish to say, oh, it's definitely going to do that. What's the point of that? I can't be proven wrong or right for a decade and a half. And I don't want to say there's no chance. Now, if I do think there's no chance or it's very likely, I'll say so. But it the farther out you go, the wider the possibilities become. It's like tracking the path of a hurricane. You once you go out 4 or 5 days, there's a huge range. And then when we're talking about an election going out 10, 20 years, who knows? Now, I would think that Utah is pretty red. It is a very red state. Now, if it slims down and gets bluer by 3, 4, 5 points, that's still nothing. It's still going to be redder than South Carolina. Nobody talks about South Carolina going blue. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, those are like the fantasy targets for the Dems, Utah, Kansas. They're all there. Republicans, I guess they've got New Mexico, New Jersey, New York. Those are the fantasies. New York is definitely, that's a big fantasy. But, there's always talk about Oregon. That state, maybe. Maybe that state is something that starts to get redder. But, yeah, maybe. But we'll see if it actually happens. More likely Republicans win Virginia or New Jersey. I guess I have to say New Jersey. That seems to be, I think other people would agree, but I don't care what they say. I think it would seem like New Jersey is more likely, not overwhelmingly, but it seems like Virginia could be looking for a little bit of change there, maybe because Trump's in the White House. It's an open seat. But in New Jersey, the Dems have been in power for 8 years. Maybe they're tired of Phil Murphy and what he's all about. So, but the safe bet right now is they both go blue. Let's see. Chitterelli came within one, and Sears is running a bad campaign. Well, Chitterelli was last time. It was 3.2. Got it. Well, first of all, the primary last time for Chitterelli, not as convincing. He's under 50%. And the general, here it is. Phil Murphy, 51.2. Chitterelli, 48. It was close in Bergen. It was not overwhelming. But some of these deep blue counties here, Essex, that's going to have to come down a little bit here if Chitterelli wants to pull off a win. He's going to have to run it up here in South Jersey. Let's see. New Jersey, that's right. Okay. You're looking forward to seeing what 28 reveals. This Trump won't be on the ballot. Yep, that's 3 straight elections with Trump on the ballot. You're going to have to go all the way back to 2012 to see Trump not on the ballot. That's a long time. And some people, they haven't even been around for an election without Trump on the ballot. Uh, let's see. I mean, I think Dems, I mean, I say it all the time. Dems, more economic issues. That's where they're going to excel. Now, not all of them, but some of the basic stuff. That's where they're going to have popular policy. Let's see. Within 100,000 votes. Yeah, actually, I don't even know how many votes he was within. Is that right? Yeah, 85,000 votes, something like that. 2008, last time Trump wasn't even considered a candidate. Well, he ran in 2000 even, right? For a little while. So, Yeah, everybody wants to know post Trump what it's going to be like. Just like post Obama, what was that going to be like? There was a whole political vacuum to fill, and that we all know what happened there. You're already getting ads for John Ossoff asking for money. You don't even live near Georgia. Wow. Well, he's not targeting his ads appropriately then. He's blowing it. Let's see. Here we go. 56% in, 47 for the GOP. And this is what everybody saw coming pretty much. Cheryl and Chitarelli, Mikey and Jack, they're going to go toe to toe in a general election duel in November. Both of them have political experience. So I think Trump's going to be the big, it's usually the president is a big factor in these races. It's just hard to deny that. So I'm sure a lot of focus is going to be on, hey, do you support this or not support this from Trump? So Chitarelli is going to be a, kind of on his back foot. But I think he should be prepared for that. Cheryl, she knows it's a blue state, unless she runs into some kind of a weird scandal. She should probably not rock the boat too much. Raz Baraka now in second place. He's leading in Essex. After Trump, I mean, yeah, Trump, he's kind of old, so who knows? Vance, I didn't think he'd pick Vance. I thought he would have picked somebody more establishment, somebody more safe, but I guess he didn't need it. He went with Vance. Vance does seem like he's kind of in the same direction as Trump, but decades younger. And he doesn't have all that baggage of indictments and so on. So I don't know. He might have some appeal in some ways that Trump doesn't have. But of course, he's also not going to have exactly that kind of captivating personality that a lot of people like about Trump. But who knows? Let's see. House Rep Dems must copy what Cat A is doing. Um, okay. You're lucky because not only you get ads from the wrong state, but you also the one you live in largest battleground states with a battleground senate. Okay. Battleground state with a senate and governor's election. Well, that's kind of narrows it down. So I'm not sure how long we're gonna go here, but we really covered everything. 27 viewers in here again. It's nice to see. The record, I think, is 230. We had 230. That was, I think, a year ago when we did the Indiana primary. I think that's what it was. That was maybe more than a year ago. I don't know how that happened, but hey, we'll take it. So, been doing these streams for a while now. Did the 22 midterms, and now we've got an off-year election. I think the question is for the person above that question. Okay, there we go. You think the GOP has a better shot at winning New Jersey over Virginia? Yeah, I think that's what most people tend to agree with. Yeah, Michigan's going to have some good action. Open seat for governor, big Senate seat, and open seat as well. You were gone for a couple of hours. Well, we've only been streaming for less than that. So, not race is called for Mikey Sherrill and Jack Chittarelli. That happened a little while ago to the surprise of almost nobody. But that's it. We're just hanging out, talking a little politics. What do you think? The last major candidates for Senate announced that they actually get in? Well, I have to look at the deadlines because that sometimes people jump in at the last second. You've had Larry Hogan got in, I think, the last day. Steve Bullock in Montana also, I think, got in the last day. It didn't help them in the general election. They both lost by 10 points. Uh, but I think people always want to focus on the next election. But you got to let things you know have time to settle. So I think there's going to be things happening over the summer. Maybe we'll get another retirement coming up, and then we get into the fall, and then we'll see where things are at in the economy and so on as we start to get 8 to 10 months into this new administration. The channel deserves more subs. How unbiased it is. You deserve 100K. Well, hard to argue with that one. Uh, I appreciate that. It's tough. I don't really promote it. It's tough to sink money into promoting it when there's not really much coming in at all. So, but yeah, it's consistent content. It's a variety. It's fairly unbiased. It's a whole range of different things, different stuff. So there's something for everybody. But yeah, the growth not really all that spectacular. It's pretty disappointing. If you could use any state as a weapon, what would it be? Well, if they're all the same size, Florida really has. That seems like you could do some damage with Florida. Kind of like swinging it as a club, if that's what we're talking about. Should do a tier ranking on that. You got Oklahoma, that could poke somebody's eye out, right? You could do that in several states. Why is Mikey so popular in New Jersey? Another Republican candidate. Well, she's got the congressional experience. She's got the military experience. She seems non-threatening, kind of like Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. Seems like she's got the mom appeal, suburban appeal. The establishment likes her. She doesn't seem crazy. So, there's a certain appeal with that, although it's only about a third of the vote here in this six-way field. You're a political junkie. Your state's so crucial, so it's interesting. Sounds good. Uh, Red Texas Republicans plan to do a super gerrymandering. I actually heard about. I think I heard about that as well. If there's a mid-decade redrawing, um, it's yeah, there's going to be a risk if it even happens they might want to redraw and try to pick up another seat. Given how the state hasn't, when they last time they really strengthened a lot of their own seats so much, it seemed like they could have gained another seat out of it. And now they might be thinking they could gain two more seats, given how it was pretty red in the last election. But they don't want to overexpose themselves and potentially lose a seat or two if things don't go as planned in the next election. Would embracing infrastructure and public transport be a winning issue for the Republicans? I mean, it'd have to be. It's all about the details on a lot of things, right? I mean, just embracing it broadly. Um, it, it's a little vague, I guess. It all depends. It depends on the details and the extent. I mean, I don't want to not answer it, but it's hard to really answer that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there in Texas. Six Senate retirements. Massachusetts looks like a gun. Maryland a flamethrower. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I get, but if it's just the shape and not adding in some kind of ammunition with it, because then hey, you could just say Florida looks like some kind of weapon as well. You could just put a cannon onto anything, right? Yeah, to Texas, Ninja Star. Yeah, I mean these states all they're all crazy in their own sense. Bergen County is 79% in. Mikey Sherrill's in second here. Gottheimer. Oh, we got uh Sussex here. Gottheimer's in second. Interesting. So Stephen Sweeney, it looks like he actually might not get 10%. Let's see. There's a little bit more here for Sweeney, but not a whole lot. So Chitterelli, strong in Bergen at 76. Strong in South Jersey, even hitting 80. Ocean County, he's down a bit at 64. He's only at 49 here. And Mercer. Oklahoma, yeah, that okay. South of Texas has become more Republican. Thanks. So they may be able to get a seat from that. Yeah, they definitely, if they were going to redraw and not do a whole lot, they would want to take advantage of that South Texas. They want to get the Cuellar seat. They might get it anyway, but the Vicente Gonzalez seat as well. They might want to maybe get two seats out of that because they got to be careful in the suburbs. It's crazy. I think they should wait and not redraw. But first of all, it's mid-decade. I want to see. They should want to see what happens with the trends. But yeah, they would have to get one more out of South Texas. Five more seats. Yeah, that would be nuts. Okay. Yeah, these states all have interesting shapes. Massachusetts has islands that could be ammo. Okay, interesting. Well, let's see. We're closing in on 2 hours on the stream. We'll do another 6 minutes at least to do the 2 hours. But there's not a whole lot more here. So it's nice to just take a look at the comments, answer some of the questions, not all of them, but let's see. The primary numbers last time. Republicans fully pulled in 320,000. Only 96% reporting, but 320,000. And now 278 with 57% in. So they should get more than that. Southern Texas, a big part of Trump's win. Yeah, South Texas, I mean, who saw that coming 10 years ago? Who saw that coming 7 years ago? It just came out of nowhere. And now, yeah, it. Are they going to stay with the Republicans? Are they going to keep moving toward the Republicans? It's not like everybody just moves in one election and stays. Sometimes it gets a little redder and redder slowly. I mean, look at Ohio. That state, it got redder and redder over multiple elections. Iowa. Uh, yeah, Wisconsin could be doing something similar. Let's see. Texas. Cosmonaut, thanks for showing up. Uh, Kind of already over, but, you know, better late than never. You wonder how Larry Hogan would vote on the pieces. Okay, yeah, we'll never know, but he'd probably be another, whatever, Lisa Murkowski type, right? Maybe he'd team up with Fetterman. Those kind of, they're on the outs, kind of on their own parties in a sense. Well, nice to see you anyway. Yeah, everybody's got their own lives, school, work, family, things they're doing. But if you manage to come by here, that's impressive stuff. I wonder, the state assembly, this does matter, but there's just too much going on here. I'm not sure what's even worth looking at here. So many uncontested races. And again, the state senate is not up this year. Couple of years for that. The voice is perfect background noise. Sounds good. Get a little ASMR going, if that works. But yeah, finals. Well, good luck with that. Sorry to see the tears. Looking at the results, Democrats look a little more divided than the Republicans. Ah. In a couple months, this primary is going to be ancient history. Nobody's going to be talking about who got in second or third place. I mean, it's just going to fizzle out. It's going to be all about the general election. I'm sure Chitterelli, he's knew that he was going to have this nomination. He's probably got some ads in the works, and he's going to focus probably on change. Hey, it's time for a change in Trenton. But he's going to have to push back on Trump, I guess, somewhat. He can't just say Trump is the best ever. That's probably not going to cut it for him. Yeah, I mean, the Hispanic vote is not what the Democrats thought it would have been 10, 20 years ago. They were, I mean, nobody was going to predict this. But hey, things change. Sometimes they change again. It's kind of fun to see what happens. Oh, you're taking off? All right. Have a nice night. Thanks for stopping by. And we're at 2 hours here on the stream. Maybe we'll do another 15 minutes because that's when the poll's closed. If there's enough people in here. Sure, other people are doing streams tonight. Usually there's a variety of channels for all your political needs. Chitterelli ran. Yeah, Chitterelli has ran. This is his third time. He was the nominee 4 years ago. He lost by 3.2 to Phil Murphy. It's right here. He ran in 17 as well. He got in second place in the GOP primary. So this is his third consecutive run. He was also in the state legislature, I believe. So 3 statewide runs for governor in a row. So he might be somebody that people are tired of, or maybe he finally gets over the finish line. Yeah, I mean, the Hispanic vote, it's all anybody's guess. It's not as much of the monolith as once thought. Now, maybe it goes in the other direction again. I mean, I'm big on presenting different possibilities. I mean, I'm sure some channels just want to say full confidence, this or that, but that's great until they have a wrong prediction. Then they got to try to walk it back. But then I guess if they're all in their own silo, then their viewers aren't going to really, they're not going to care too much. Yeah, I mean, 3 runs that in a row. That's going to give Stacey Abrams some ideas about going for 3 in a row in Georgia. And I mean, three straight runs is, I mean, Trump did it for president, so you know it's not unheard of. But after losing the first two, it's tough to go for that third one. Now he wasn't the nominee though. Now if he was the nominee the first two, yeah, that looks a little weak. But he was the nominee last time. But now it's an open seat. But Trump's in the White House. If Harris were in the White House, then we might be looking at, then maybe Chitterelli would be the small favorite. Totally speculative, but Cheryl now under 35%. So the election day surge for Stephen Sweeney didn't happen. A lot of S's on here. Steve, Sweeney, Sean, Spiller, Steve, Raz, and of course Cheryl. A lot of S's. You've got Bill Spadia there on the other side. Let's see. Carrie Lake with her 3 strikes, and you're out. Yeah, Lake back to back, different offices, 2 years apart. Um, but yeah, some people think when they lose a close one that the next time they just come back and they have success, but I don't know. It all depends. What happens in New York City? Who wins under that under what coalition will be interesting? Uh, yeah. On that last poll, there was 2 polls. One was an internal from Cuomo. One was sponsored by Mamdani. One was from Cuomo. So I don't know how to really. I want some independent polling, but I did see. I forget which one it was, but it was white voters in New York City were going for Mamdani, and non-white voters were going for Cuomo, something like that. But hey, I'm sure we'll get some independent polling coming up as that race closes in. Um, yeah, coalitions, they are a changing. Um, no, I don't know. She's not running, but she ran two in a row. I think that was discussed for repeat runs. Um, there was talk about her running in Iowa, moving to Iowa, challenging Joni Ernst. I mean, that's wild stuff. I mean, it's all about enthusiasm and turnout as well. I mean, you can't forget about all that. It's all it's all one symphony, I'd say. Is New Jersey only allowed the two most popular candidates, like foreign nations or third parties allowed? Oh, I'm not sure what their ballot access is like. That I'm not sure of. But that's a fair question. Chitterelli has more total votes than Cheryl at this point. 207, 206. Hey, look at that. Yeah, but this is, I'm sure this turnout is, what is this overall turnout? Like 6, 7, 8%? I mean, this has got to be so low. Carrie Lake, yeah, she lost Gallego. Trump won Arizona 5.5. Yeah, there's some crossover vote right there for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Carrie Lake comes back in the future, but doesn't look likely right now. Zoran Mamdani, five behind. All right. Well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks. That's going to be probably a spicier race than what we've got here today. The plan is to do a stream, but you never know. It's a couple of weeks off. I can't guarantee it. Next week is Virginia as well, but again, the governor's nominees are already locked in. Spanberger and Sears. They're going to have other action, though. Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General. But there's no intention for a stream on that day. Cheryl, Cheryl seems like the safe choice. So does Chitterelli. I mean, this is like safe stuff. Let's see. Zoran goals to use Asian vote to not lose a lot with black vote. Yeah, if it sounds like maybe you're following that even closely, actually. So yeah, the dynamics between the different demographics, the coalitions, the endorsements. I guess it's all one big puzzle. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I mean as for everybody else following the channel, we wrapped up a spinner battle recently. Now those is anybody enjoying those spinner battles, the coin flips? That's what happened. We get about two of those out a week, kind of to break things up. Should be starting a new spinner battle series. That's probably gonna happen, but I'm not sure. Do people are is everybody interested in those or not really? It's always good to know which types of videos people are watching. I know I've got the stats, but it's nice to get it in a stream. Hispanics voted for majority Trump. Didn't vote for anything down ballot. Okay. Spinners panels need to be how presidents are elected. Well, yeah, there's always that suggestion, but it's tough because then there's different time zones, and then it's tough to actually, when you get into the details, how do you do it? And the other thing is, it's kind of just my own thing. It's all just random. You know, it. I do like having California early on instead of always having a huge upset at the end with California. I don't think that would be super satisfying. Bobby, I've gotten so many suggestions for how to do it. Do it this way, do it like an election. But yeah, but I mean, states close at different times, and I'm so used to calling the states the order that I call them. I mean, it's hard to, it would be, it'd be difficult to change the order that I call them. I know it's kind of random, I get it, but hey, that is what it is. It's all just random anyway. Well, yeah, it's so we got some fans of them. A spinner on who wins demographics. See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would even go. You'd have to give me some more details on that one. They're interesting. You don't know if other people enjoy them due to repetitive. Well, see, they're repetitive only. I mean, every video is repetitive in a sense. If I cover polls or if I cover a prediction, there's a lot of repetition. But the spinners and the coin flips and the dice battles, every time it's different. I mean, I do it, and whatever happens, happens. Let's see. You like videos that look more in depth at stuff. What could happen, even if so far out, just to see what is wrong and right later. Okay. You also like what other channels may not cover as well too. Look at different ways. Everyone does Senate predictions, but it's nice. Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, there is a variety. There's a huge variety. So if you're in the stream right now, the chances are you like at least one or two of the different types of videos that are put out here. I try to make it interesting. I try not to do the same standard stuff, but also it's challenging to get videos out every day. I mean, sometimes it's really a huge challenge. But yeah, there's depth. There's all different kinds of depth. Polls, trends, hypotheticals, not as many now after the election, of course. Predictions, different states, different data, numbers. And yeah, that's true. The some of the more in-depth stuff. I mean, you can't spend 5 hours making a video, and then especially if only you know five, 600 people are going to watch it, or even 1,000. I mean, that's a huge time sink to make a 8 to 10 minute video. If it's going to take more than a couple of hours, it starts to really drag. I mean, some of these take a lot of prep. Some of them, there's a lot. Some are very data heavy. I put out that one the other day. Last time each state was competitive for president, and once in a while a mistake is going to slip through, and certainly that doesn't get past the comments. But yeah, some stuff like that, it takes a lot of time to prep. Then there's the recording, there's the editing, there's the thumbnail, the images. It would be okay if this was like the only thing that, there is to do is make a video. It's going to be highly successful. Then it's not so bad, but there's only so much time. It has to be easy to make. It has to be something I enjoy making. And it has to be something that other people want to see. I mean, there's some stuff that people request, but I'm not really that interested in spending my time on it. Let's see. JFK versus Nixon was very close, and neither winning over 49.9. Okay, the 1960 election, sure. I have to look at the exact percentages again, but that was definitely a very close one. Random coalitions and influence. What states are won? See, that strikes me as like I'm still not sure how to go about it. Like, I want it to be something as easy as these streams. It's fun to just sit here and just flow with the stream, but it's another thing to have to struggle to think about how to fill out a map or which data to pull up, which data to prepare, how much of it is my own data, how much do I pull from other sources. It's a huge process. Sometimes a 6 7 minute video could take, yeah, hours. And that's why it's really nice to do a coin flip or the dice battle, the spinner battles. Those take some time to set up sometimes as well. That's not totally nothing. Video on Kansas, Nebraska, and their shift to the left. Well, I mean, what the whole, just those states? I think the way it would happen would be leading up to the last election. I looked in depth at battleground states and then a bunch of other states, which way they're going to trend. That's when that kind of thing would come up, taking a look at those states and some of the counties and so on. Some people crazy on in-depth stuff, usually just read it from articles or posts online. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to you can't get burnt out doing this. That's the thing. There is burnout. It's nice to talk about stuff like this. Certain things, it's fun to talk about. Other things, it's not fun to talk about. Let's see. You found a guy last election really good on his trends, very data driven, but even him says lots is a lot since his specialty, since doing it for years. Yep. Well, I mean, I've done so many data videos, in-depth videos. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to go so extremely in depth where it's just nonstop numbers. That's probably going to turn off people, especially new people. I do the political shifts usually every week, and that, it's not fancy. It's usually just a spreadsheet, and it would take way too much time to add in different graphics and present the data in slideshow fashion, that kind of thing. That would just add on. It'd be way too much time. But the point is, the data is there. We talk about it, and that's it. Yeah, it's definitely tough, but nobody can say this channel is not consistent. This is consistent. What have we got? Over 1,300 videos, something like that. Every day, at least one video for more than 3 years. Covered everything. Primaries, general elections, certain commentaries, different states, polls, random things, trends, redistricting, etc. Yeah, it would be nice to just the stream might take. Sometimes these streams take hours, but it's and I can't do them every time. That's the thing. But a lot of ways it's easier just to sit on here and do a stream. But there would have to be the demand. There would have to be enough people. You know, if we were having one or 200 people every time, that could be something. Yeah, it would be nice to not do some videos, take off a few days here and there. But even a lot of the days I put out a video, sometimes there's just such low views. Yeah, it's not very motivating on those days, and there's a good chunk of them. Okay, yeah, you can send data if you find the articles. Yeah, I mean, I there's always more data out there. I mean, I've got a good chunk myself, and I'm sure you've seen a bunch of the videos. I don't think you, yeah, I know you're around. I don't think you comment too frequently on the regular videos, but yeah, there's always so much data out there, and then you have to hope that it's correct. And then, yeah, it's what do you do with the data? Do you take this data and then do you just jump to some conclusion that's theoretically possible, but maybe not extremely likely? Or do you go in the other direction with it? It's tough. I try to present different sides on a lot of things. Here's, what this side or this data might show, but unless something is pretty clear cut, I'm not going to be super confident about it. Some people want that in a channel. They want somebody on there that just says, no, here's what's going to happen. They just want the extreme confidence. And then when they're wrong, they don't care. They don't want to hear about it. Well, the thing about this is, like I said, doing it for more than 3 years and to have the growth be really uneven, certainly starting out, then leading up to the election, and then the last couple of months. So, given the amount of time I've sunk on it, it'd be nice to have something more than what it is. Because in a lot of ways, yeah, it would be nice to just focus on this, do streams, make some videos. And I've clearly done over 1,300 videos. So there should be more payoff there. It should kind of feed itself. More and more should kind of happen. But when it starts to go the other way, it's like, well, what am I doing here? You know, I mean, I could use my time on many other things. I mean, a lot of times you do got to fit in other things, but I could love to use this time on other things. But yeah, Patreon, that is I should open that up. But I mean, Patreon versus just joining the channel now as a member. I'm not sure how people view the pros and cons of that. You could just join right now on the channel, or you can super chat, super thanks, whatever. That seems easier than getting on to Patreon. But I probably should. I finished setting it up. I did open up a Patreon at some point, but I'd have to set it up. And then there's also about the promoting that kind of stuff. Some people in every video at the beginning, they brag about, or they don't brag, they mention, hey, join on Patreon, support me on Patreon. I think that gets a little repetitive, but maybe that works. Yeah. So you're in even if you're not commenting, yeah, I'm sure you're in the background like most people are. Uh, Spicier takes. Well, Yeah, there's always the thought of going more in depth on specific issues. There's a few videos I've got about issues, but more some people might want that. Although this channel's not known for doing that a ton. It's more about elections and the lead up and covering news as opposed to purely commenting on current news or hot topics like that. So that could happen. Then it's probably going to excite some people. It's going to alienate some other people depending on the issue. So, there's all these trade-offs. Red Eagle Clown always is a grift sponsor lined up at the beginning. Like a paid sponsor? Well, it doesn't, isn't that ever, I think that's the goal for most people, right? Actually get a sponsor. Then you're getting paid for that. So, I mean, if somebody eventually was paying to sponsor the channel for whatever their product is, I guess it depends. Well, I think I would have to do that, right? Depending on the details, which would be most likely in my favor. But again, yeah, that's just it's too many unknowns. But anyway, we've hit more than 2 hours after the polls have closed. We're almost at 2.5 hours on the stream, and no real new developments. Yeah, I know the mild takes, they don't get people like mild takes. But then at the same time they don't. They want to be told the same thing in a silo. I just think the silos should kind of merge a little bit. People on both sides in their silos, maybe half of their silos should merge into a different silo, and we'll get some great mix of different takes of people that have crossover views on certain things. That would be interesting. I'm not really sure what these other channels are even up to lately. I assume they're still around. I assume they're streaming. Half of them are streaming tonight, probably. Maybe they're done. So let's see. We'll probably wind it down here in a few minutes, as we pretty much had another successful stream. Let's see. Not everyone is good at everything, but if you can tell who is good at which category, you'll get closer to the truth. Okay. Round point politics, crazy model when Trump wins Minnesota by 5. Was that his final prediction? Or that was just some like best case scenario it 5 months before the election? People do want confirmation bias. Yeah, they do. If you want to hear that there's hope for your side, that here's what could happen for your side. I just like seeing what happens. But yeah, in conclusion on this New Jersey stream, it is going to be Mikey Sherrill against Jack Chitterelli in the general election. One of those two is going to be the next governor of the Garden State, barring some sort of crazy write-in campaign or something. And most likely it's going to be Sherrill, but this isn't a total done deal. Last time it was way more competitive than we thought. The presidential race was more competitive than we thought. It's going to be an open seat. So the race, yeah, right now, at the last rating I had, it was lean Republican. Lean Democrat in the general election. So we'll see what happens. Do a video explaining party coalitions. I don't know. You know, it doesn't. It has to strike me as something that I know off the top of my head, and that I think I would have fun talking about and having something to present. And I don't know. You know, and of course, the farther back you go, the more it'd be more difficult. I think the accuracy, it would take more effort to like research that kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. You know, I can't. It has to work for me to want to sink the time into it. Some suggestions I've done, especially with the hypothetical matchups last year, the year before, did a ton of them. But even the hypothetical matchups, I can pretty much have them go either way if I wanted to. That's the thing. It's really however you want to think about it. It's also a big factor is it now or is it in a year or two when the actual election is? Is it a neutral environment? Is it the environment right now? It's really all about how you want to look at it. I think that's the big thing is just it's kind of even beyond politics. A lot of things really just depend on how you want to look at them. Obviously not everything, but there's a lot of subjectivity out there. A guy mentioned that did models for the Dems since 2000s called Pennsylvania would go Trump weeks earlier. Even he thought Trump would win. Okay, he wasn't off at all. All right, sounds good. I had my own prediction. I got most of it right. You could some takes on how a certain faction can do, like anti-Trump Republicans. Where do they go from here? Yeah. I mean, again, I mean, where do they go from here? There's nothing. I don't really have a lot to show for that. I can talk about it right now for a moment. Yeah, do they come back? Do they? I don't think they can come back. I think they would try to go for some kind of establishment candidate, Nikki Haley or something. But post Trump, it's probably going to be somebody not establishment or who would be the former neoconservative establishment like Nikki Haley. It'd probably be like Vance. Of course, he's the VP. He'd be the obvious choice. But I don't think the anti-Trump or the never-Trump Republicans, they're a small percent, but I don't think they're going to come back and say, okay, now post-Trump, we're back in. That to me, I don't see happening. Uh, let's see. You're watching High Regard. All right, that sounds good so far. Since you have stuff that most channels don't, inspired what you say on certain stuff like gerrymandering, for example. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you like the content. That that's good stuff. All right, Rando. Oh, I'll be heading out myself here in a second, but we'll see you on the next one. And that is pretty much going to wind it down here for this New Jersey primary stream slash community hangout. So again, it's Mikey Sherrill, and it is Jack Chittarelli for New Jersey governor. We'll find out in November what happens. And the rest of the people in here, it's been a fun stream. Hope everybody likes, shares, and subscribes. Don't forget to hit those buttons. You know, they help a little bit if you're a fan of this channel. And you know, who knows? Maybe the channel, maybe this is it. Maybe it shuts down soon. Maybe we keep it going for a while. Who knows? But it's nice to see get some good comments in here. And hope everybody has a great night. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next video.